and welcome back to another episode of the Ball Watchers podcast. I am your host, Evan Blust, alongside my co-host, Joseph Luto. Joseph, how are you doing today?
I'm ecstatic, bro. How are you?
I am doing great. You're almost to your trip to Italy. We were just
Yeah.
chatting about that before the podcast started, but Joseph, he's not going to be here for the next 2
No.
weeks.
Oh, man.
We're going to have some special guests on the Ball Watchers podcast, but before that happens, Joseph, we have quite the episode for you.
Yeah.
We've got a ton of NFL news, shockingly. I
Crazy.
honestly can't even believe it. I was not expecting this much to happen in the middle of,
Of
what is
June?
it, June? And
Yeah.
I am, honestly, I'm a little upset.
Why are you
But-
upset, Evan?
Well, let's get into it, Joseph.
Okay.
Myles Garrett is traded to the Rams for Jared Verse,
Jared
a
Verse.
first-round pick in 2027, a second-round pick in 2028, and a third-round pick in 2029, Joseph. And I, understandably, am not very happy about this.
I mean, we can get into the Rams for starters. I think it's a very good trade and
A shocker.
It's a huge shocker, and they went swinging for the fences. Their GM has really take the fudge them picks very seriously, and I absolutely love it. If this is the Super Bowl window, then that's absolutely great. And Myles Garrett is a phenom at the defensive end position. He's the best, let alone defender in the entire NFL. He's one of the best players regardless of position. And so you bring this guy on to the LA Rams, you have an elite defense, you have the reigning defensive player of the year on your team, and the reigning MVP on your team as well in Matthew Stafford. It's going to be fireworks. It's going to be huge for the city of Los Angeles. They were already the best team in football before the season, but this just projects them to a point where they are like, if they don't win, then it's absolutely crazy. And to me, this is the year for Super Bowl or bust. There is no future with this deal, in my opinion. They've thrown that all away because Jared Verse, I mean, he is a phenomenal player in his own right. Defensive Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, double-digit sacks in back-to-back years in the NFL. So you trade away a guy who's 6 years younger. You bring in a 30-year-old Myles Garrett, who he is Myles Garrett, but still 30 years old. And the cap is really going to hurt this team between Myles Garrett, Trent McDuffie, and Matthew Stafford. Those three players alone combined for a $131 million cap hit per year. That's not over the course of their contracts. That is per year. That's not even accounting for Devontae Adams making close to $30 million a year, Kyron making $12 million a year. There's a lot of cap casualties on this team, especially with not re-signing Puka Nacua or extending him. There's really not a future with the Los Angeles Rams outside of Ty Simpson. But who cares at this point? If you want a Super Bowl, you are all in this year. Go get it. I absolutely love this mentality. This is how they won the Super Bowl 6 years ago when they brought in Von Miller and Jalen Ramsey. If this is the recipe and they've been successful with it in the past, then you absolutely do it. So I think it's a no-brainer to bring in a caliber of player like Myles Garrett and just wreak havoc on the rest of the NFL, at least for the 2026 season.
Exactly. This makes a ton of sense. I mean, I'm upset as a Seahawks fan, but from a Los Angeles Rams perspective, this is a fantastic move. I think that Myles Garrett is second to none. There is no one in the NFL at that edge rusher position that is even close to Myles Garrett right now, it feels like, in the league. So being able to get him for essentially 2 first-round picks, Jared Verse, I would say, is about the value of a first-round pick.
Yeah.
2 first-round picks, a second and a third, but smartly, I think they spread out those draft picks over a couple seasons, so they're never hamstringing themselves too much in terms of draft capital. And Myles Garrett basically will be in his prime until what would have been the end of Jared Verse's rookie contract. So it makes a ton of sense in my opinion. And you're totally right. Matt Stafford is signed through 2027. Myles Garrett is your guy on the defensive end position for the next 2 or 3 seasons for sure. You don't know what's going to happen after that. He is 30 years old, but he broke the NFL sack record last season and could easily do that again, I think, on this Rams team. And they just rebuilt that defense so effectively, so efficiently. And it's not like their front seven was really an issue, but when you can go out and get the best defensive player, arguably, in the NFL in Myles Garrett, to add to that defensive line. Why are you not doing that? This makes a ton of sense as a win now move. I still think adding another player in the draft instead of Ty Simpson would have just been the cherry on top for this team, but they also were able to address the future with that pick. So you can see the vision in some ways, and I mean, I just feel like they're unbeatable, which in a lot of ways they were before this trade, and then you add Myles Garrett, and it's like, who the hell is going to beat this team? And then Aaron Donald's like, oh, I might be coming back, and then it's like, I might as well just, like, we might as well not even watch this season, Joseph. It feels over already.
Do you think he's coming back?
No.
No? I don't think so either. I think they got Kobe Turner. They got Braden Fisk. He's 35 years old. I mean, he's better than those guys right now, in my opinion, but what's the point, man?
He's still 100% in football shape, though. That guy is an animal, but no, there's no point, man. This guy's made so much money. He already has a Super Bowl. He's already a Hall of Famer. He has nothing to prove.
Definitely.
So why come back, really? But the one thing I will say is I was surprised they gave up Jared Verse in this deal. I thought Byron Young would be the casualty in this situation, to be honest, but I don't know. I guess Byron Young is a bit more of a speedy pass rusher off the edge, whereas Jared Verse is much more that bull rusher, where Myles Garrett is a bit more of that bull rusher. He has more pass rushing ability than a Jared Verse. And then on top of that, you keep Byron Young, who was kind of their leader in sacks last season. So, I mean, that defensive line looks terrifying yet again. And, I mean, this defense feels unstoppable this season. And you have the former MVP Matthew Stafford at quarterback, or the reigning MVP, I should say, in Matthew Stafford at quarterback, along with all those weapons along the offense. So, God, it's a terrifying team. They did a lot to level up, and it feels like they just outplayed everyone in this offseason.
To me, like, you had to get rid of Jared Verse in this deal because you have to extend him next year. 2024, this would have been his third year. You extend him so he doesn't reach that 4-year contract. I mean, there's a lot of cap casualties on this team. To me, Puka Nacua, this is the last year for him as a Ram. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent come next off season because he wasn't a first-round pick. He doesn't have that fifth-year player option. They need to shed some cap, man. So I think Jared Verse was the right move if you want to bring in a guy like Myles Garrett. But for the Cleveland Browns, I mean, I don't think you had to make this move necessarily, just because by the time that Myles Garrett contract ends, that's when you start paying these guys. So you can have a bunch of guys on rookie contracts and still have a guy like Myles Garrett. But at the same time, like, the Cleveland Browns are just having the Oklahoma City Thunder formula to me. They're accumulating so many first-round picks. They're accumulating young talent. Jared Verse is 6 years younger than Myles Garrett. He fits in with this youth more often. And, like, you're just that quarterback away. You don't need – I hate when people are like, oh, the Rams fleeced the Browns because they only gave up one first-round pick. Like, no, because Jared Verse, to me, is worth one, maybe 2 first-round picks, in my opinion. If the Rams had let him go, I think they would have gotten 2 firsts for him. And second of all, I don't really see any holes on this team. They're young. They're rejuvenated. They have players that they accumulated from the draft at every single position. They truly are a quarterback away. So this 2027 first-round pick is just like extra insurance. It's going to be in the 30s. You get another depth piece, and you just bring in that quarterback of the future, whether that is Shader, whether that is a quarterback in the 2027 class. Like, this team is set up for serious success, and they are going to be so dominant. And this is just like a smartly ran organization, which I've never said about the Browns before. Even the 2029 third-round pick, there is like a cap casualty to that, where if the Rams trade Myles Garrett back to the AFC North, that third-round pick becomes a first-round pick. I didn't know that till like today, and that's just super smart. Like, they're getting all their ducks in a row. They're making sure that they
that would
have
never
all
happen.
No, that'll never happen. But still, just like the insurance, I mean, I really like what the Browns are doing with their team, and this was a very smart move that didn't necessarily need to happen, but I think is just going to make them more dynamic down the road. You trade away a 30-year-old who is at the peak of his trading like price tag because he's the sack leader. Why not do this for a struggling franchise? I think it's just such a smart move by the Browns as well.
Yeah, I agree. This makes a ton of sense. I think both teams won this trade. Honestly, like, A+ for both sides, in my opinion. Jared Verse is a top 10 defensive end in the league right now, arguably, and he doesn't have the sack numbers. That is the one problem with Jared Verse is he has like 12 sacks through 2 seasons with the Rams, but he's so disruptive. He's so physical. He's so good against a run that that's the kind of guy you want on your team. He also has proven he can step up his game in the playoffs. He was fantastic 2 seasons ago in that Eagles game against the Rams that they lost. For example, that was a huge game for him, but in general, I think he's just a great edge rusher, and obviously he's not Myles Garrett, but you were never going to get Myles Garrett back in this deal. And getting a guy like Jared Verse, who, like you said, Joseph, 6 years younger, he fits the timeline. It makes a ton of sense for this team. Myles Garrett was going to be 33, 34 before the Browns were really potentially a Super Bowl contender at this point, and Jared Verse will be in the middle of his prime in that case. So it makes a ton of sense. I think Jared Verse is still a great player and at least has a high ceiling as a as a run defender. He's also great at getting pressures. So he is a guy who, while he might not be the one who gets a sack, he can disrupt the quarterback. He can force the quarterback into other players, and that's a super valuable player. It's not Myles Garrett, but it's a pretty damn good return along with a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick. So I love this for the Browns. I think it makes a ton of sense. They're also in cap hell of their own making, to be fair, but Deshaun Watson is still in the books for at least another season after this.
One more year.
So, like, getting rid of Myles Garrett, Deshaun Watson is off the books after next season. Like, 2 years from now, they're going to have a ton of money to work with, as well as a bunch of young guys that they drafted in the last few drafts. So I love it from the Browns. I think there's still some question marks specifically this season, especially just because there's so many young guys. You fully rebuilt that offensive line. Your receiving corps added 2 new people in Denzel Boston and Casey Concepcion. You don't know what it's going to look like under Todd Monken at head coach. So there's definitely still question marks, but there's a lot of solid pieces on this team, and it feels like what you need to start your rebuild here. I feel like they're in a good spot.
Yeah, I like the
other
Browns.
than the Deshaun Watson contract.
Definitely.
All right, next up, A.J. Brown finally gets traded to the Patriots for a first-round pick and a fifth-round pick. We've been waiting for this for God knows how long at this point. 2 months. So I don't know. It was pissing me off. I feel like going into this, like, I was just so annoyed with A.J. Brown and this potential trade that, like, I overlooked how good of a player A.J. Brown still is. But, like, and all this stuff on the Eagles as well. Like, he's just pissed me off so much. I was like, I don't care about this, but it is a good move for the Patriots at the end of the day.
Yeah, I really like the spot that A.J. Brown's in. He's finally back with Mike Vrabel. That's where he had the most success in Tennessee. And I just think that the Patriots desperately needed a wide receiver like this. The Eagles did not need a diva wide receiver demanding targets, but the Patriots do. They don't have an alpha 1 wide receiver. They don't have a running game that really hurt them in the Super Bowl. And they have a very young quarterback. This reminds me a ton of Josh Allen getting Stephon Diggs in his 3rd year. And to me, year 2 Drake May is a lot better than what Josh Allen year 2 was at that point in his career. So I can only imagine the trajectory that Drake May is going to be on with a guy in A.J. Brown who is such a dominant wide receiver and can beat man coverage, can beat zone coverage. He is going to demand at least, at bare minimum, 150 targets in this offense because there's no one else to throw the football to. Romeo Doubs had an okay season. He really emerged as that number 1 when Tucker Kraft went out with an injury, but it didn't really wow you. Kayshon Boutte is more of a deep threat who you might trade. Kyle Williams, you don't really know what you have there.
Also kind of a deep threat guy, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. So A.J. Brown is the complete wide receiver that Drake May desperately needs in this offense. And when you cannot run the football, you are going to need that air attack to be sound and perfect. And I just think that A.J. Brown is the perfect complementary piece to do this. Now, you do give up a first-round pick for a 29-year-old aging wide receiver who has declined over the last 2 years. But at the same time, it's in 2028. Your Super Bowl window is Drake May's rookie contract. You have another year of that. You have another first-round pick where yes, you're going to be in the 30s this year because you want to be a Super Bowl contender. But with your first round pick in this last class, you got Caleb Lomu, who's going to be a very fundamental piece for you going forward. So you accumulate that again, get more around Drake May, and get this offense right for that Super Bowl push, which is going to be the next 2 years. So I think, yes, a first round pick is a little bit rich, but because it's in 2028, I don't think it's as steep. And I really, really like this move for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it too. I think AJ Brown is just a dominant X receiver, like you said, and he is. Everyone's been talking about this. This is not new information, but he's the best downfield receiver in the NFL. And then you pair him with the guy who threw downfield and was the most efficient throwing downfield last season in Drake May. It seems like a perfect pairing. AJ Brown's also had, I think, 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Like he is, yeah, 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons, 4 straight, 7 overall or 6 overall. He's a great receiver. He at 2 almost 1,500-yard seasons with the Eagles, like he is a legit number 1 receiver, and Drake May just didn't have that. Stephon Diggs had his revenge games against the Bills where he was good, but he wasn't consistently a number 1 dominant wide receiver, and AJ Brown's going to give you that week in and week out, and Drake May's just going to have someone reliable to throw the football to because I mean, it was a big question mark through that entire receiver room last year, and Drake May really got the best out of those guys. But like Kayshon Boutte catching 70-yard bombs every second week, I think is not a reliable something you can rely on going into next season. And now you have AJ Brown who can fulfill that role. And they really just upgraded this offense overall around him, adding Romeo Doubs, adding Elijah Vera Tucker, drafting Caleb Lomu. Like you're just making your team better around your quarterback, and you prioritize that going into the season, and then you trust Mike Vrabel to do what he did with the defense last year and what he did in the past with the defenses Tennessee, and just they're going to be good. So this team feels like they made the correct upgrades, and I think they could be able to keep up with their significantly tougher schedule this season because they just were aggressive in free agency and made good, smart moves to make themselves better overall. They didn't just spin their tires. So I love this for the Patriots here. And then for the Eagles, I mean, they did their due diligence, I think. Like you trade for Dontavian Wicks, you draft Mekhi Lemon. They replaced not necessarily A.J. Brown's production. You're hoping Devonta Smith steps up and can replace that production, but they added depth to that receiver core before they even lost A.J. Brown. So they're in a good spot, even though they don't have A.J. Brown, and they just picked up an extra first-round pick in 2028.
Yeah, I like this move for the Eagles as well. You finally get rid of that cancer that is AJ Brown. No, I still think Nick Sirianni has a big cancerous spot in that locker room, but that's a different
Yeah.
conversation. But at the same time, we finally get to see Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith be a number 1 wide receiver. We've never seen this in his entire career.
11th overall pick.
Yeah, exactly. He sort of had it in his rookie year, but he's a rookie. He's a first-year guy, and then they bring in A.J. Brown in his second year, and we don't really see Devontae Smith mold into that form. And so we really want to see him do that, and I think he has the full capabilities to do that. They have an excellent run game. They have an excellent number 2 wide receiver option in Mekhi Lemon. So you don't really need A.J. Brown in this offense. There's a ton of other options that Jalen Hurts has at his disposal. And you got a first round pick for a guy who is 29 years old. You have to pay, and is sort of on the decline over the last couple of years, like I said. So to get that value is extremely nice. And yes, the 2027 class is extremely stacked, and I think they wanted that 2027 first round pick. But I mean, 2028, you don't know what the hell can happen. The Patriots can be very, very bad in 2 years, and this might be a top 10 pick. Like you have no idea. So I think the risk reward of hey, this is probably going to be a pick in the 30s this year compared to 2 years where maybe this is a pick in the teens, like sort of what the Rams had with the Falcons pick. Like you're going to be unstoppable if you can sustain the guys that you have and have an extra first round pick at your disposal. I think it's very brilliant by Howie Roseman yet again.
This 2027 draft has got to be like the best draft of all time.
Definitely.
Like I don't know, I don't get how like teams value those picks so much. And I wonder if that was part of it with the Myles Garrett trade too, is they got that 2027 first round pick because AJ Brown got a first round pick, but it was a 2028. So this must be like the best draft of all time. I mean, also the 2027 pick for the Rams is going to be like 32nd probably, but you know.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Joseph, your
Yeah.
Steelers. They
Jeez.
re-sign a pass rusher, not the one you might think, but Nick Herbig signs a 4-year, $100 million deal with the Steelers.
Yeah, this is a very dumb move by the Steelers. I don't like it one bit.
I was
Just
surprised you put it on the rundown.
yeah, man. I don't know. I think I wanted to talk about it because I really wanted to crap on it a little bit. So
Good.
this
Go
is
off.
me venting. I don't know. It's like you're paying this money for a third string defensive end. Is he worth this money? I absolutely think so, but not on this team. I think he's worth it on the Commanders. Like Adafe always making this money, and he's the number one pass rusher. The exact same amount, 4-year, $100 million contract. Nick Herbig is making the exact same amount of money, and he is not going to be on the field half the time. Alex Highsmith is only 28 years old. You're probably going to extend him, and you just signed TJ
He's
Watt.
so injury prone though,
He is
Highsmith.
so injury prone. And I mean, like, yes, at the same time, but Alex Highsmith is significantly better than what Nick Herbig has shown you. And so, even still, like, this is your pass rusher number 2 that we're talking about. TJ Watt, I know he's been on the decline. He's had serious injury concerns. You cannot give up on him this fast. He still has 3 years left on that extension. And I mean, you drafted Jack Sawyer in the 4th round, who to me can just easily replace Nick Herbig. And it's not that big of a deal because, yes, he was a 4th round pick, but at the same time, like, this is a third stringer we're talking about. I don't understand why you would pay this much money. I like if you traded Alex Highsmith and you put him on the block, which maybe the Steelers have and I don't know about, then sure, you can sign Nick Herbig to a big contract extension to make him live up to it. But there's no way in hell that Alex Highsmith is gonna sit instead of and have Nick Herbig play if he's fully healthy because Alex Highsmith is much better than Nick Herbig. So I don't know why you would pay this money. I don't know why you would pay 25 million to a 42-year-old quarterback either, but like it's making no sense. I guess you can do it now, but it's just very weird to me. I don't see Nick Herbig in our future plans, and if I do, then it's 4 years down the road when this contract is up. So it's a very dumb signing to me.
Yeah, especially because the same day, I believe, you have the Seahawks signing Derek Hall
Yeah.
to a 3-year, $42 million extension, who arguably was more impactful last season than Nick Herbig and got essentially half the money that Nick Herbig did. I mean, I love the move for Seattle, but I get it. It doesn't really make sense for Herbig, and I get it maybe as an insurance policy for a guy like TJ Watt or for a guy like Alex Highsmith. If one of them goes down, they have this guy locked up on a bit more of a long-term deal, but it is questionable. I mean, $25 million isn't even top 10 edge rusher money, I don't think. So it's not like you're giving up a ridiculous amount necessarily, but it's still just like it feels like a lot of money for a guy who's had pretty average production. It kind of reminds me of the Bengals signing Boye Mafe to I think a similar deal, $25 million or something like that, $20 million, whatever he ended up getting. So it's just the edge rusher market is booming, and I think that that's why you see these numbers inflated. But it is a bit of a bad look when they sign that deal, and then a guy who he hasn't been quite as productive, Derek Hall, compared to Nick Herbig, but was very impactful for Seattle last season, especially in the Super Bowl, and he got half of what Herbig got.
Yeah. Like if you sign this deal on like let's say the Chargers, where you know he's probably going to be the number one, it's a great deal, and I think it's a steal of a pay. But he's not going to see the football field. That's where I'm scratching my head. Like the Boye Mafe contract is a good contract because you know he's going to be the number one, and he has a lot of potential to be that number one. With Nick Herbig on this roster specifically, you don't even know if he's going to play, so that's why I think it's a reach.
I agree. All right, next on the list, the last item, I believe, Joseph. We've got Russell Wilson,
Oh,
officially retired. He will become a CBS sports analyst, which I love. I cannot imagine Russell Wilson as a sports analyst, and the idea of him doing it, just like he's going to be hilarious.
he's
I
gonna be
feel like
funny.
he's going to be like the Charles Barkley of NFL media coverage. That's what it feels like. I don't know, man. I'm sure, I mean, he does know a ton about football, but he just like, the way he talks is just so funny.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to see him on the broadcast. I think he's gonna bring a vibrant energy, but it's really sad. I mean, you can probably speak more to this, but he played for both of our teams, and although I didn't really like him on the Steelers, I still loved his time in Seattle, and I think this was long overdue. Like as soon as the Denver experiment was over, I thought he should have retired. It was a bad look, and it was tarnishing his Hall of Fame resume. I still think that he is a first ballot Hall of Famer to be that young and win a Super Bowl and then go back to back Super Bowls, even though you lost the second one. Like, he was just phenomenal. And every single year in Seattle, he was an elite quarterback. There was no question about that. His throw, like his mobility in the pocket and the way he could make throws on the run. I think only Aaron Rodgers is better at that than Russell Wilson. I truly believe that. The way he could like escape and have these 20-second runs in the pocket and still find Doug Baldwin for a 10-yard curl. I think only Russell Wilson could do that. So this game, it's very sad to see him go. I think this was long overdue. I think he should have done this a while ago, but at the same time, man, like he is a legend. He's a Seahawks legend, and I think that he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question. And I don't care about the other stints that he's had in his career, whether that be with the Giants, the Steelers, or the Broncos. What he did in Seattle and the consistency that he played with there, I just think it was a very bad situation with a bad head coach in Denver, and they just
Yeah.
gave up on him after one season. So we shouldn't tarnish his career over that. And I think Russell Wilson, the Seahawk, is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
It's so tough. I I think it was the right time for him to retire. I think he was just becoming a bit of a nomad. He had significantly reduced his performance, and I think that was just the style of football that he played. Once the athleticism to escape the pocket wasn't there, him holding onto the ball forever just resulted in a ton of sacks and a ton of turnovers. And those first 10 seasons in Seattle are better, like can be compared to the best of the best. Like he was so efficient. He was on a trajectory to be one of the most, like the fastest player to get to so many milestones when it came to yards and wins. And he was supported by a great defense, but at the same time, the production in a lot of ways speaks for itself. He brought a Super Bowl to Seattle in his rookie season, I believe. They almost went back to back, and while that defense was great, that offense had to pull its weight as well, and they certainly did with Russell Wilson. Obviously, I think in a lot of ways he'll be remembered for a lot of negative things that happened, unfortunately, but he was fantastic. He was just so fun to watch. The most beautiful deep ball, I think, in NFL history, just that teardrop. The way he escaped the pocket is like nothing we've ever seen. He turned his back to the defense more than I think any quarterback has ever, and yet he still made magic happen. I mean, you think of there's so many memorable plays. There's one against the Cardinals where he rolls out of the pocket, he's running around, tosses it to Doug Baldwin for a toe tap catch for a first down, and it's just the chemistry he had with those receivers for a long time. Tyler Lockett as well, even DK Metcalf at times. Like it was magical in a lot of ways, and I'm sad. Well, I'm not necessarily sad he retired. I think it was the right move, but I do think his legacy will not necessarily be what it should because the back half of his career was so disappointing in a lot of ways. That trade looks so bad now. And I think that's like another thing he's going to be remembered for is getting traded for an absolute haul the Seahawks got out of that. But also, that haul led them to building the championship team that they have now. So he did do the Seattle a solid in the end, you know what I mean? But
Thanks, Russie.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm mostly excited about this from the broadcasting perspective, to be honest, because you just think of all the videos that are out there of Russell Wilson. His Subway sandwich ad is incredible. The Mr. Unlimited video is fantastic. Like, I can't imagine what he's going to be like
No.
on a broadcast, and I am thrilled. Just put that man in front of a camera, and something good's gonna happen. So, I'm excited about that as just as much as I was, I think, for a lot of Russell Wilson's career. And I don't know, man. There were so many good moments too, even after I won the Super Bowl. Like they kind of dipped for a bit and then came back and were competing with San Fran for the division in the late 2010s, and it was just great football. They lost the division by an inch in like that was what 2019, I think. That was fantastic season for Seattle, 11 wins. The playoff victory against the Eagles was a great game. Like they never really got back to the heights they did at the start of Russell Wilson's career, but he was fun to watch, and those Seattle teams were always fun, and their defense ironically was terrible for those seasons.
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson was really just put the entire team on his back. So I love Russell Wilson. I wish him the best of luck in his retirement. But yeah, what a guy. I love him.
Legend.
And he means a lot to Seattle. And hopefully I hope he's remembered for what he is
Legend.
and what he was.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. He also, I was thinking about this. Him and Russell Westbrook are like the exact same career trajectory, I feel like, in a lot of ways.
Wilson's got a ring, but yeah.
Same name.
Yeah.
But I would say, but if you think about it, like, other than the ring in the rookie season, you know, you think of what they lose a 3-1 lead to the Warriors in the
Yeah.
conference finals. They lose to the Heat in the finals as
2013,
well.
yep.
Like, those could have been a ring, either one of those, and then everything kind of falls apart, and they put their team on their back. I mean, Russell Wilson doesn't have an MVP.
Oh,
So
true
it
that.
kind of balances
Yeah.
out, and then the end of their career is them just like bouncing around from team to team to team to team, and not really making an impact. But like they're just around.
That's cool. Yeah.
Somehow Russell
That's pretty
Westbrook
cool.
hasn't retired yet. I don't know. I don't know how that's possible, but where is he? Sacramento Kings?
Yep, that's right.
What the hell, man? He's played for like half the league at this
Yeah.
point. It's crazy. But very similar careers.
Mhm.
Both two of my favorite athletes of all time. All right, Joseph. Any other NFL news stories that really piqued your interest before we move on to the next segment here?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Caleb Williams is the Madden cover. That's
Don't
stupid
care.
to me. I don't care. That was a robbery. Should have been JSN.
Ooh,
Odell,
point.
1-year deal with the Giants. I think
don't care.
Don't care. I hated Odell with the Giants. I still hate Odell. And the Giants are not going to get Malik Neighbors for at least 8 weeks, man. They stacked up.
They also
got
signed Juju.
They got Braxton Berrios.
God.
They signed Darnell Mooney.
Literally,
they
like,
drafted. What's
that-
the guy from Notre Dame?
The
What's
most
his name?
popular guy from Notre Dame.
Malachi Fields. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted
No,
your
it's
train
all
of
good.
thought there. I was going to say they literally got like the most like headline producing wide receivers. Like if you weren't an NFL fan, those are like 3 of the wide receivers I would expect you to know more than anyone else, because like I mean Odell Beckham Jr. was just that famous.
Yeah.
And then Juju Smith-Schuster was a TikToker, and Braxton Berrios dated a TikToker for a while. So like I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's not
No.
very John Harbaugh-esque
No.
moves there. But in some ways it is, because the Ravens too were desperate for receivers
How true that.
for a long time and
Mhm.
still are. I mean,
Yeah.
they were kind of a graveyard. I mean, Odell Beckham was there. DeAndre Hopkins last season was a bit of a interesting selection. So, yeah, I don't care either. He's not even like, if he plays a single snap for the Giants this season, I will be shocked.
Yeah, exactly. Drake London got an extension. That was pretty
Ooh.
cool. 4-year,
I actually do
want
want to talk about
yeah?
that. That was good.
Go off, bro.
I love this, man. Drake
Yeah.
London, top 10 receiver. This is a great move for the Falcons, locking up your guys. I mean, I think they still have to extend Kyle Pitts. He's only on the franchise tag, but I like this for Kevin Stefanski. You have your pieces in place around Michael Penix here. I think Bijan still needs to be extended as well, but
Yes.
you're starting the process, and you have those guys. You're starting to get them locked up. You have a great offensive line still. Everything is set up for Michael Penix to succeed in this offense, and I love that. And I love that they kept Drake London around. I think this is a super reasonable deal, to be honest. It's like a $35 million a year cap hit. I'd rather have Drake London for $5 million more than DK Metcalf.
Definitely.
So I love the money here. I think it's a great deal. You didn't have to give him top of the market value. I mean, it's still a top 5 receiver contract, but that's just how it works. Is I mean, you have to get paid more, or else you're going to leave, and someone else will pay you more. And even if you're not necessarily a top 5 receiver, he's damn close. I like the value. I mean, the guys who are close to him in contracts are DK Metcalf, Brandon Ayuk, who technically doesn't have a contract, but on the page, and then Garrett Wilson. Like, he's better than all those guys. So I am not mad at the money at all. I like it a lot from the Falcons.
Yeah, it's definitely good, and I mean they needed to do this now because if not, he would have went absolutely ballistic going into a contract year, and this would have been a contract $40 million per year, like Jamar Chase and JSN are making, just because you still have the Puka extension coming up. So market value, I think this was
Good point.
the smart move for the Falcons, and they don't have anything else. Like the Drake London, this is his offense if you discount Bijan Robinson and the rushing attack. Like everything through the air goes through Drake London. Kyle Pitts has always been inconsistent his entire career. So if you don't have Drake London, you do not know what you have in Michael Penix or Tua for that fact. So yeah, this was a must, and they got it right. And I think the price tag is very, very good for Drake London.
Just please stay healthy, Drake London.
Yeah.
He's also, like, I would say he's one of the most comparable wide receivers in, like, skill set to a guy like A.J. Brown. Like, those are valuable receivers. He's physical. He's great down the field, even if he doesn't necessarily get separation with speed. He's just a great route runner, and he's bigger than you, and he'll get the ball over your head. So, I don't know. I like it for the Falcons. Good move.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
Joseph. Our next segment, we wanted to talk about the best remaining free agents. So we're going to do a little bit of a draft here. And we're going to go through and pick the best remaining free agents, Joseph. Do you want to break down the positional, like, or what we need at each position? How many of each position we need?
Yeah, so Evan and I are going to create a roster. We're going to compare. We're just going to go back and forth. We're going to probably rapid fire because we don't really care about a ton of these guys. But just it's one quarterback, one running back, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 offensive tackles, 2 offensive guards, a center, then 2 defensive ends, 2 defensive tackles, 2 linebackers, 3 corners, and 2 safeties.
It's a lot of guys.
Yeah, it's a lot of guys. But I mean, I was like, okay, we're not going to fill this out. But then I was looking down the list. I'm like, whoa, there are some names that I kind of forgot about, but they can still ball, man.
There are. I mean, honestly, I was looking through this. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at some of these guys on here. I think there's going to be some strategy for sure in getting the guys correct, but I think we got it here, Joseph.
Yeah, perfect.
I might have to get you to keep track of my team.
Yeah, of course. I can type it out. Definitely.
My Google didn't log in on this computer. I'm using a computer that's not mine, and it's not letting me access Google. But Joseph, I'll have you do the honors since this was your idea.
Oh, wow. Thank you very
first.
much. All right, with my first overall pick, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna go with a tight end, and I'm gonna take Taysom Hill. And the reason I'm taking this is because yes, he is the tight end listed, but I don't like the rest of the remaining free agent quarterbacks. And if I can have a quarterback competition and have Taysom Hill be my quarterback, I think that's tremendous value. He's a great rusher of the football. He can sling the ball. I mean, there was like a week period where Derek Carr was out 2 years ago. Taysom Hill was the starting quarterback. So give me Taysom Hill. He's potentially going to be my starting quarterback, and if not, I'll take him as my tight end.
Joseph, I can't believe you did that. You just saved me a ton of time. Well, not a ton of time. You just saved me in the quarterback department. I can just wait till the end of this draft to draft my quarterback. That's fantastic for me.
I can still take a quarterback.
You could.
Because he's listed as a tight end. I'll just have 2 of them.
True. You could put him at tight end, I guess. I'm willing to take that risk.
Will you allow that? Is that
what? You can move him?
I'll take him as a tight end.
As a tight end?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I will go with my initial strategy here, and I will be drafting Jimmy Garoppolo as my starting quarterback
So cute.
because yeah, exactly. That's exactly why I wanted him, was just the sex appeal, really. I wanted this team to be as hot as possible. No. There is just no one else. Like, looking at this it had to be Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson doesn't count. He's technically on this list, but he doesn't count. And then other than that, I mean, there's just no one. And I know it's tough because Jimmy Garoppolo has not played football as a starter in a while. Let's go with 2022 was the last time he started more than 10 games.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You don't know what you're getting, but I think he's at least replacement level quarterback as long as you have a good offensive coordinator, I think. Maybe not replacement level, that might be too generous, but let's say backup level quarterback, which is much more than we can say for the rest of these guys. Cooper Rush, Jeff Driscoll, Brett Rippon aren't really doing it for me. So
No.
I'll take Jimmy Garoppolo as my starting quarterback here. He's
Let's go.
definitely the best of the bunch.
Definitely, man. I like that pick.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go with defense, and I desperately need pass rush. So I'm gonna take the best one available to me, and that's Joey Bosa. I think he had a phenomenal year in Buffalo,
I like
and
it.
I think he wreaked havoc on that defensive line, and I'm shocked that he isn't signed yet. So I'm gonna take Joey Bosa as my premier pass rusher.
I like it. I'm going to go next with Taylor Decker, former left tackle of the Lions,
Oh,
was
good
cut,
pick.
but he was great last season. He's a little older, but if we're building a team specifically for next season, I mean, I'll have Taylor Decker. He started 14 games last season. Like, give me Taylor Decker. He's not necessarily a premier left tackle, but he is more than serviceable as a starter.
Definitely, definitely, I like that. All right, next for me, I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna take Tyreek Hill here. I don't care about the injury. I think that he can come back stronger than ever, and he has the most upside out of all of these remaining wide receivers to me. Diggs, you know he's washed. Debo, you know he's washed. Tyreek, I mean, it was just a bad situation in Miami, so there might be some juice left, and he could be. I mean, 2 years ago he was almost pushing 2,000 yards, or was that 2 or 3 years ago? But still, that's very, very close. So I'm taking Tyreek Hill with that pick.
I like it. Next up for me, taking my middle linebacker, Bobby Okereke.
Oh,
He was a great guy, a great last season for the Giants. I don't know how he's still a free agent. I don't know if there's like a injury. Maybe I'll get bit in the ass if there's some sort of like injury issues with him. But I mean, last season, not last season. Let's see, 2 interceptions, a sack, no forced fumbles, 6 passes defense though. That's pretty solid. 78 tackles, 143 total tackles, 78 solo tackles, 143 total tackles. Like, this guy was an absolute animal for the Giants last season, and they just let him go. He's not even 30 yet. Get him in the middle of my defense.
perfect, dude. All right, I'm gonna go with the defensive side of the ball as well. I'm gonna hit the secondary, and I'm gonna go with Jarius Sneed. I think he's the best
I
one
like that.
available.
I like that a lot.
I don't understand why they cut him, to be honest with you, because they don't really have a quarterback. They brought in what's his name from the Saints? I forget. I'm blanking, but yeah, they brought in him.
Oh my God,
Not Paulson.
Alontae Taylor.
Alontae Taylor. Thank you. But I mean, I just thought that would have been a great pairing. But they cut L'Jarius Sneed. He was kind of a cap casualty. They paid him a lot of money. But I just still think he's got the juice, and I still think that out of all these guys, he has the best potential to be a cornerback one still in the league.
I like it. I like it a lot. My next pick, I don't know. This is so tough. I think I'm gonna go Cam Robinson.
Ooh, you're
Another
that offensive line.
another serviceable tackle here. We'll slide him in on the right tackle spot. I want Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know if well protected is the right word, but protected by at least medium level offensive lineman here. So Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have at least an average time to throw here before he gets absolutely decked. So give me some Cam Robinson here.
That's perfect. All right, I need my. You already have your two tackles, so I'm gonna go with my guard. So you don't take anyone. I'll take Joel Patonio. He's been doing it a long time for Cleveland, and he's always a great run producer within the trenches. And I think that's a perfect pick for my team. And so you don't get him because you're building your offensive line.
I like it. I like it a lot. There's other guys, but we'll get to that. My next one, I'll take Kenny Moore, cornerback, 30 years old,
Great pick.
slot guy, but you know how important the slot is
That's a
in
great
this day
pick.
and age. I want a guy who I can trust in coverage. I'll know he'll come down, make some tackles for me. I like this pick. Another guy who I was surprised got cut, but more than anything, probably a cap casualty at the end of the day. But he's a very solid guy. I'll stick him in the slot, and I won't be too concerned.
Yeah.
Veteran, a leader.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna go with another veteran who's been doing it a long time at the linebacker position. I'm gonna go Matt Milano actually, and
Hmm.
I am shocked because the Bills desperately need this guy back on the roster. He is so underrated. He's been so good for so long. He reads the run perfectly, and the Bills desperately need this, especially with Sean
Yeah,
McDermott out the
seriously.
door. Like I have Joey Bosa and Matt Milano. Those guys were both on the Bills, and they need to re-sign him. And I don't know how they haven't yet at
How
this
has no
point.
one re-signed him is
Yeah.
a big question here. Okay, I'm going edge rusher here. Cam Jordan.
Oof.
Give me. He's
Nice.
old, but he's still been productive late into his 30s here. He's also just an absolute locker room guy here. He's going to be a captain for sure. He's going to help these other free agents mesh and play their best football they possibly can. I mean, even last season in 2025, he had 10 and a half sacks. Come on, man.
Yeah.
How is he not back on the Saints or on any team right
That's
now?
crazy.
Should go ring hunting.
That is wild, actually. All right, for me, I'm taking my running back and I'm going Joe Mixon. He didn't play at
Oof.
all last year.
That might be it. That's a gamble. He might
Yeah.
not play another snap of football.
Yeah,
Jace.
that I know. I'm taking it, but I'm taking the risk because 2 years ago he was absolutely electric, and I feel like any of these guys might not play another snap of football. I'm looking at Najee Harris, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb. These guys can all retire very easily. So I think Joe Mixon, he's not even 30 yet. I'm still taking him. And I like the upside. I think a lot of these guys have high risk.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of risk, Von Miller, I'm going as my next
Jeez.
edge
You
rusher.
took my pick.
9 sacks for the Commanders last season. Just another veteran, a legend of the game, truly. And, I feel like I don't know how good we'll be against the run just because these guys, I don't know if they can really set the edge like they did in the past, but damn it, we have pass rush. We have some juice. Maybe not the juiciest pass rushing situation, but I don't hate it. That's for sure.
No, I like that a lot. All right, I'm gonna stack up on the offense. I feel like you have the better defense, but at this point, I'll go offense. I'm gonna go Stephon Diggs here. I just think
I
he's
knew
the
it.
best. He's the best available, and I think the other guys have. You saw Stephon Diggs show flashes, not a ton, but you saw him show flashes, and I think he's still very serviceable for a lot of teams out there. And I know there's a lot of legal stuff going on with him, but I would still take a chance on Stephon
Well,
Diggs.
I think most of that got resolved. To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
he's figured it out at
Mm-hmm.
this point. So I think you're okay from
Yeah.
that perspective. Okay, I think next for me, I got to take a receiver. I don't have a receiver yet. I'm going Debo Samuel. I love Debo. He was actually quietly fantastic for the Commanders last season. No one really talked about it, but he was essentially their number one receiver because Terry McLaurin was injured for a good chunk of last year. But I mean, 27 yards, 5 touchdowns, 75 rush yards, and a touchdown. Like, he was really solid for the Commanders in a bit of a down season, but a gadget guy. I can play him wherever the hell I want, and especially because our running back situation is probably going to be a little questionable. I like having Debo Samuel here. Even at age 30, he's still one of the hardest guys to tackle in the league. I'm a big Debo fan, so I like that addition.
That's
I was
awesome.
gonna say with Tyreek Hill, that's a big question mark. That guy, his knee is he might
Yeah.
not have a knee anymore, to be
Definitely.
honest.
Yeah, that's very scary for me as well. I'm gonna take another corner here because we don't have any. I want to steal some. I'm gonna take Trevon Diggs, and I want to pair the Diggs brothers together. And
Oh
I
boy.
just think that having Diggs as my number two, where he's not getting the ball thrown to him as much, and he can be more of a ball hawk and a worse wide receiver. I think that's the perfect situation for him. He sort of had it in Dallas, but his experiment with Green Bay was terrible. So I think Trevon Diggs as a corner two is a lot better than most teams' corner two.
I like it. Okay. I think next up, I'm going to go with. Hmm. Who do I want? I think I'll go Kevin Zeitler,
Oh
offensive
man,
guard.
that's a great pick. Man.
Thank you. Is he a free agent?
Yeah,
Yes,
he is.
he is. He is. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a guy, he's just a veteran. He's solid. He's been good for a lot of teams, the Giants, the Ravens, the
Mm-hmm.
Titans, the
Mm-hmm.
Lions. Like, he just gets in there and does his job. It's a definitely an old team. I don't know if they'll survive much past this season, but they're okay. I like what I've built along this offensive line so far.
Definitely. I like it too. For me, you still need another guard, so I'm gonna take another guard, and I'm gonna take Makai Becton. I think he's the best off the board, and he had a very rough year in Los Angeles with the Chargers, but at the same time, the rest of the offensive line was injured, and what he did in Philadelphia 2 years ago, he's just a big body that you desperately need in the trenches. So Makai Becton is very easily the pick for me.
I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, next up for me, I think I'm gonna go. Oof, 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 oof. I need some corners here. Oh man. Ooh, Tre'Davious White. I'm
Oh,
okay with. I'll take Tre'Davious White. He kind of had a little bit of a comeback
he
last
did.
season, to be honest. So he was okay for the Bills in spots. He wasn't fantastic, but I mean he had an interception last season, and he started 16 games for the Bills. So give me Tre'Davious White. I'll take that all day.
Very cool. I like that. All right, for me, I'm gonna round out the interior of my offensive line. I'm gonna go Graham Glasnow from the Lions as my center. I just think, yeah, he's a perfect center, and with
Michigan man.
yeah, Michigan boys, and I have a beefy interior offensive line.
I like it.
They're very massive, and Joe Mixon likes to run in between the tackles. So yeah, give me Graham Glasnow. They know how to run the football in Detroit, and I want to run the ball.
I like it. With Joe Mixon, who might not
Mm-hmm.
have a foot, but
That's
that's okay. That's why you need the good offensive line. He's going
yeah.
to be running on one foot, so you need big holes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take a bit of a risk here, but Razul Douglas, he was great with the Packers. He
Yeah.
was great when he was traded to the Bills, signed with the Dolphins, and was not very good, but the
Mm-hmm.
whole Dolphins team was not very good. So I'm banking on he's better than he was as a Miami Dolphin here. So give me Razul Douglas. We only need
Perfect.
two
Yeah.
corners, right?
Three.
Three corners, okay.
You got one
Oh
more.
no, I got three.
Yeah, you got three.
Kenny Moore. Okay,
Mhm.
we're good. We're good at the corner position. I like this.
Perfect. All right. Who was I gonna go with? Oh, to me, I'm gonna take the first defensive tackle off the board. I'm gonna take Larry Ogunjobi. He
You know
was,
him well.
yeah, he was very good for my Steelers. He bounced around. He signed a big contract with, I don't remember, but then he went to the Bills last year, and he put up kind of a dud. So I still think he's got the juice. I don't really like anyone else on the defensive interior that's remaining in free agency. So I'm gonna take the guy with the most upside, and who's done it before. I'll take Larry Ogunjobi.
I like it. I'm going safety here. I'll take Donovan Wilson, another guy who started 4 years for the Cowboys here. Never an amazing player, but serviceable starter. Can make some plays. I don't think he'll necessarily make any huge mistakes. I'm honestly surprised he's not with the team. He's only 30, but safety's a weird position. I'll take uh, Donovan Wilson there.
All right, I'm gonna round out my wide receivers, and I feel like I'm gonna take Brandon Cooks. And it was
Mm,
between him and DeAndre Hopkins.
I like that.
But Brandon Cooks is going to play more in the slot, and he's had a lot better production recently than DeAndre Hopkins has right now. And Brandon Cooks was very, very good for the Bills, especially in those playoff games on the deep threat. I just think that Brandon Cooks still has a ton of speed, and I like him as my slot wide receiver.
I like it. I'm going Jonnu Smith at tight end
Ooh.
here. I don't know what happened in Pittsburgh, Joseph. I mean, this guy, like, if you go back to 2018, 12 yards a catch, 12 yards a catch, 10 yards a catch, 10 yards a catch, 9 yards a catch, 11 yards a catch, 10 yards a catch, 5 yards a catch.
Jeez.
Like, he had 800 yards and 8 touchdowns in 2024, and then 200 yards and 2 touchdowns last season. Everyone thought he was brought in to be Arthur Smith's special little guy. And it was a complete. What was that trade again? It was like Minka Fitzpatrick for Jonnu
Yeah,
Smith
Minka
or something.
Fitzpatrick for Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey.
Like, what the hell? What is that trade? That's
That was
ridiculous.
the weirdest thing ever.
But I don't know, man. He's serviceable at tight end. He can block a little bit. He'll be able to make some plays over the middle for me.
Definitely. I like that. All right, I'm going to take my first safety off the board. I'm going to take Harrison Smith. He hasn't retired yet,
Old
and
man.
he's very old, but you know what? I don't like any of the other safeties available. I think Donovan Wilson was the best one, and so I'm going to take the second best one, the biggest name, and maybe he can still do it for me.
I'm going to take a safety here, too. I'm going to take Taylor Rapp.
Ooh.
I feel like he was okay on the Bills. I think last year was a bit of a down year. Again, not like the greatest safety of all time, but none of these players are the greatest. They're just solid. He's only 28 years old. He had 82 tackles in 2024. 2026 or 2026 he only had 26 tackles, but we're going to start him and see what happens. He only played 6 games, so we'll see if he can rebound a little bit for me.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna steal my linebacker 2 away from you. I'll take Bobby Wagner here.
I'm okay with that. He's slow.
He is slow, but
He's
you know
old.
what? He's still a leader, and as my second linebacker behind Matt Milano, I think it's a perfect pairing. Bobby Wagner as a number 2 should be getting phone calls as a number 2 linebacker for every single team in the NFL. He's still got that presence.
He is a big leader. I'm surprised Washington hasn't re-signed him. Like, you might as well, honestly. Why the hell not? Okay. I'm going to go. Oof. It's so tough now. I don't really know. I don't know what to do at this point, Joseph. I feel like I'm in a little bit of a pickle. But I don't have a running back yet, so I might as well get my running back number 1. Give me Najee Harris, 28 years old. He was very injured going into last season, but he was projected to have a pretty big role with the Chargers. I mean, I'm just going to run the football up the middle every single play and hope he falls forwards, I think. But I don't know, man. Outside of that, it gets rough pretty quick there. So you want Austin Eckler coming off an Achilles injury? Not really. So give me Najee. Do we only need running back or 2?
Just 1.
Okay.
That's perfect, dude. To me, I'm gonna take my second defensive tackle. I'm gonna take Brandon Graham. I don't know if that counts, but he's an interior. He plays in a.
Brandon Graham, I think, can play on the interior.
Yeah?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, sounds good. So I got 2 edge rushers, 2 pass rushers on the inside, and I think Brandon Graham still has the juice. He's still not retired yet. He came out of retirement last year to play with the Eagles, and I like the old guys, man. I know these names, and I just like the savvy veterans, and I feel like a lot of my defense are savvy veterans. So I'll take Brandon Graham.
I like that. I'm gonna go Foley Fatukasi as my first defensive end off the board here. I just want anyone who played for the Texans, I feel like, has got to be at least okay at football. He only had a sack and a half last season, but I don't really need him to get sacks for me. I just need him to stop the run. I feel like he's a little bit of an athlete, but I'll take it honestly at this point. The interior of the defensive line, I agree, is pretty rough.
It is very, very rough. Oh gosh. Okay, I need defensive end, a corner, a safety. Okay, I'm gonna. Oh man, I don't even know who to take. I'm gonna take Marshawn Lattimore as my third corner. I think he's still got the juice. I can move Trevon Diggs to the slot and really hide him in this defense. And Marshawn is also a shutdown corner. So him and Trevon Diggs is going to be a pairing that hopefully can lock up the 2 wide receivers on the outside.
I like it. I'm going to go interior offensive line here. James Daniels.
Ooh, great pick.
Thank you.
Former Steeler.
I don't know what happened to this guy, man.
Yeah,
he used to
he
be
was
so
great.
damn good, and now he's not even on a team. Like, I feel like he was so solid. It's because he played from freaking Miami. That's why. Hopefully he's healthy. He only played 1 game last season, so bit of a concern. But he's got the whole off season, so give me Daniels. He's only 28. I've liked him for a long time. I'm surprised he's not on a team.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna take. Oh gosh, I don't even know who's available. I'll take Jimmy Ward as my free safety. He's been doing it for a long time. He's done it for a ton of teams, and I think he's been in the league ever since I started watching football. So
Who?
Jimmy Ward.
Jimmy Ward, yeah.
Yeah,
He's old, man.
He is
a little
old,
bit dirty, but
that's
sometimes you need that.
Exactly.
If anything, this team might have to win by just hurting the opponent.
Yeah.
Bounty Gate 2. Okay, I'm going to round out my offensive line here. Give me Ethan Posich at center. Former Seahawk. He was the Brown center for a number of years here, so I feel like he's at least a borderline starter because that Browns offensive line was really good when he was there. So Ethan Posich, I'll take. I'm not thrilled about it, but you got to do what you got to do.
Definitely.
Okay.
I need 2 more tackles here. Gosh, I don't even know who to take out of these guys. I'll take Jack Conklin. I'm gonna take all the
I like
Browns
it.
guys. That I don't know how he
Solid.
has. Yeah, a lot of these Browns players, they
Injury
they got
prone.
released, but outside of Wyatt Teller going to the Texans, they have not been re-signed. Like Joel Bitonio, I'm shocked. So I'll take Jack Conklin. He's been such a great, reliable left tackle for the Browns for years. So yeah, I really like Jack Conklin.
I like it. Okay, what do I need, Joseph? Can you read me out the positions
Yeah,
here?
sure. You need a linebacker, a defensive tackle, and 2 wide receivers.
Two wide receivers. Okay, let's go wide receivers here. Let's go. Damn, Keenan Allen.
Ooh.
Why the hell not? That's my slot guy. Debo Samuel on those gadget routes. He's a bit of a slot guy, but I feel like Keenan Allen was still pretty solid last year for the Chargers. He's a guy who just catches a ton of passes, possession receiver, super reliable. He can play on the inside. He can play on the outside. He still had 700 yards last season. Let's go. I like
Wow.
it.
I like that too. All right, I'm gonna take a very erratic player. I'm gonna take Hassan Reddick. Yeah, he is.
High risk, high reward.
Yeah, he. I don't know what happened to him after the Eagles. I think won the Super Bowl, or no, they made the Super Bowl, and against the Chiefs they lost, and then he went to the Jets. Didn't want to be with the Jets. Signs a 1-year deal with the Buccaneers, and is nowhere to be found. So I like the upside of Hassan Reddick. He's such a big guy, and I trust Joey Bosa to be my number 1 pass rusher. I don't need a lot from Hassan Reddick, so give me Hassan Reddick. I like his upside.
I like it. Okay, my second defensive tackle spot here, David Onyemata. I feel like he's just a veteran. He's solid. Not a necessarily a sack artist from the interior, but I feel like he's always just high energy. He's making plays. He was solid for the Falcons for the most part. I just think that he had 62 tackles last year. That's pretty damn good for a defensive tackle. 7 tackles for loss and 8 the season before. I like that on the interior. That's a solid player, honestly. Someone should pick him up.
I like that a lot. Oh man, I need my last corner. I don't know who to take.
Who do we got?
Gosh, I guess I'll go
Jeff Okuda.
No, my tackle, not my corner.
Oh,
Yeah, they are. I'll take Jonah Williams, 28 years old. I know
he's good if he plays.
Yeah, he's good if he plays, and he is always injured. But you know what? I'll take a risk. I like the rest of my offensive line. I think it's strong. I'll take Jonah Williams as my right tackle.
When was the last time Jonah Williams played a snap of football? Oh, he's played 9 games for the Cardinals last season.
Wow.
Okay, that is unexpected, but you'll take that, Joseph. To be honest, so that is not bad at all. Okay, I guess I'll go wide receiver here. Let's go. Man, it really doesn't matter. Let's go Curtis Samuel. He was okay for the Bills at times. I feel like he's always an underrated guy, but I feel like he'll at least be he's a good outside receiver, deep threat down the field kind of guy. 81 yards last season. Ooh, that's rough. I mean, I'm going to be honest, none of those guys were really great. I don't know. I guess I could have gone like DeAndre Hopkins, but I wanted Jahan Dotson, but I feel like then I have only slot receivers, which I feel like is not ideal. So
I feel like Curtis Samuel.
Oh no, Jahan Dotson got signed, so he's not even a free agent. So
I feel like Curtis Samuel's also a slot guy, though. No, is it just like
no? I feel like he's an outside kind of a guy.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe he is a slot guy, and I'm just making the slot team. They're just gonna have to rotate. They're gonna have to take turns.
That's perfect.
Whoever's in the slot's probably getting the ball, but that's okay. Or Jonnu Smith.
My last guy, who I'm gonna take at the quarterback position, will be in a quarterback battle with Taysom Hill. Will be Teddy Bridgewater. I love Teddy Bridgewater. I know
Veteran, a savvy veteran.
Yeah, he's a very savvy veteran, and I think he's the best backup of the bunch. Even with Jimmy Garoppolo and Cooper Rush, Teddy Bridgewater can provide some offense. So he has a cool story, and yeah, I think Teddy
shockingly
Bridgewater
younger
is very
than
cool.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Wow,
I would not have expected that at all.
that's cool.
What the hell? Teddy Bridgewater seems like he's 40.
Yeah.
Okay. What do I have left?
A linebacker.
Linebacker.
Need a second
Oh boy.
linebacker.
Oh boy. Oh, no way. Let's go. Okay, Kenneth Murray, easy. I love this guy out of
Whoa, man.
Oklahoma. Flies downhill.
Yeah.
Never really was what he was expected to be, but I don't know. I've always loved Kenneth Murray, and he's only 27. Give me some youth at that linebacker position. I feel like he's solid as like a second linebacker with Bobby Okereke. I feel comfortable with that.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great team.
Thank you.
You want to read off your team, and then I'll read off mine. Or actually,
You have to read off both of them.
I'll read off
You
yours.
wrote them down.
Your quarterback was Jimmy Garoppolo. You have Najee Harris as your running back. Your 3 wide receivers are Debo Samuel, Keenan Allen, and Curtis Samuel. You have Jonnu Smith as your tight end, Taylor Decker, Cam Robinson as your tackles, Kevin Zeitler, James Daniels as your guards, Ethan Posich as your center. And your ends are Cam Jordan and Von Miller, Boli Fatukasi, and David Onyemata as your tackles. You got Bobby Okereke and Kenneth Murray as your linebackers. And then you have Kenny Moore, Tre'Davious White, and Rasul Douglas as your corners. And then Donovan Wilson and Taylor Rapp. That defense is so nasty.
I'm not going to lie. I feel like that team could win at least a game next season. Like, that's not bad.
That is not bad.
That makes I feel like some of these guys have got to get signed before the start of the season.
Oh, for
like
sure.
building these teams, that's not a terrible team.
No,
it's
that's
not
very good.
It's not a good team necessarily, but considering it's all free agents, I think that that is a team that could possibly win a couple games.
Definitely, dude. Then my team is Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, Joe Mixon, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, and Brandon Cooks at wide receiver. Taysom Hill is my tight end, and then Jack Conklin, Jonah Williams as my tackles, Batonio and Becton as my guard, and then Graham Glasnow as my center. Then my ends are Bosa and Hassan Reddick, and then my defensive tackles Larry Ogunjobi and Brandon Graham. My linebackers are Milano and Bobby Wagner. My 3 corners are L'Jarius Sneed, Trevon Diggs, and Marshawn Lattimore, and then my safeties are Harrison Smith and Jimmy Ward.
I like it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's again a team that could win a couple games.
Yeah, it could.
It's not bad. Like the Arizona Cardinals or our teams. I don't know.
I feel like our teams will win.
I think it would be a battle.
Yeah, it would
Needless to say, it would be a battle. The one thing our team suffers from is a lack of athleticism.
Yes.
But they make up for it in veteran savvy. They're smarter
Definitely.
than their opponents.
Oh yeah, they are.
Cam Jordan, Bobby Wagner, those guys are smarter than their opponents.
Oh man, that was fun.
That was good. I liked that. Got to chat about some of the remaining free agents a little bit. It's always fun to have a little bit of a draft. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ball Watchers podcast. Joseph, safe flight to Italy. I hope you enjoy your time there. I will hold down the fort back here in Calgary.
Yeah, for sure.
And pump
be
out
listening.
a couple episodes
I will
while
be
you're
listening.
gone. Stay tuned next week. I don't know. I'm going to have to get some planning done for this weekend, figure out what's going on. But we will have an episode out for you next week, something to do with the NFL. But until then, make sure you follow us on Instagram at BallWatchersPod, on TikTok at BallWatchersPod, on YouTube at BallWatchers. We live stream every episode over there. And, yeah, until next time, stay up, Ball Watchers.